use that. Are we ready?
Yes.
We are. Long time in coming. Well, good morning, everyone, and happy Memorial Day. And let me first just start out on a serious note. Memorial Day is a day when we should be remembering those who died, giving us the freedoms to be here, to be in charge of our own destiny, to say what we want to say, and practice our religion, and live where we want to live in the ways we want to live. And those are freedoms that a lot of people around the world sadly don't have. But we've been lucky fortunate that young men and women since for the last 235 years have been willing to go and devote their lives to help others. And sadly, too many of them have paid the ultimate price. And so, well, we are going to celebrate the day, and it's good weather, and we certainly nothing wrong with having fun and laughing. We also have to remember the sacrifice that was made so that we could be here, and so people back there could protest, because in other parts of the world they would not have the right to do that. And that's exactly, we forget that. After 3 years of planning, we are here. 400 meetings with elected officials, civic groups, and community boards, 65,000 online suggestions from New Yorkers, and countless hours of hard work by our Department of Transportation, led by Commissioner Janette, Sadik-Khan, and our team at City Hall, led by Deputy Mayors Howard Wolfson and Bob Steele. I am thrilled to declare that as of this moment, Citi Bike, New York's new, safe, and affordable 24/7 transportation network and the largest bike share program in the country, is officially launched. For those whose bells didn't work, if you hold it here, it doesn't. If you hold it here, it does. This is not rocket scientists. We've just sent an electronic announcement to the 15,000 people who've already signed up to become annual Citi Bike subscribers. And from now until next Sunday, annual subscribers will have exclusive access to the 6,000 bikes now available at more than 300 stations around the city. This is a ways to phase it in and to make sure we get any bugs out. But then it'll be open to everyone. The stations where you can rent bikes are located in Manhattan below 59th Street, and a number of neighborhoods in Brooklyn, including Bed-Stuy, Williamsburg, Clinton Hill, Fort Greene, Dumbo, and Brooklyn Heights. Now, people say, what does it cost? Well, annual membership costs $95 a year, which is about 24 cents a day. That's what I was trying to get. 24 cents a day, something like that, if you divide 95 by 365, and allow users to get an unlimited number of 45-minute rides to and from any bike share station by using the electronic Citi Bike key. We're also ringing our bike share bells, and we also spread the word about Citi Bike to the more than 3 million people who subscribe to our social media channels, including on Twitter and Instagram. And on Sunday, the Citi Bike system will become available to non-subscribers who can purchase day passes for $9.95 or weekend passes for $25, both of which provide unlimited 30-minute trips. Now, you may be wondering, how much is Citi Bike costing taxpayers? I am glad you asked that. Thanks to the public-private partnership, Citibank doesn't require any city, state, or federal tax subsidy to operate the system. And I think that bears repeating. We now have an entirely new transportation network without spending any taxpayer money. And I'm sure what's going to happen is those who decry spending government money on anything will rally around this and realize what we've created. Citigroup has been the lead sponsor of Citi Bike, and Citigroup, as you know, has been a great New York institution for over 200 years. And their $41 million 5-year commitment to make the Citi Bike program a reality is just the latest example of Citigroup's dedication to their hometown. In addition to Citi's generous support, MasterCard has committed $6.5 million, which will help us reach our goal of building this new transportation network without using any taxpayer money. And because it's 100% privately funded, Citibank could actually make a profit, which the city will split with New York City Bike Share, the company that will operate the system. In addition to expanding our transit network and providing another option for New Yorkers and our many visitors, Citi Bike will also help make our streets safer. And thanks to our Department of Transportation, in the last 5 years, New York has recorded the fewest number of traffic deaths in our city's history, and the risk of serious injury for bike riders had dropped nearly 75% over the last decade. We've done it we've done it not despite the fact that the number of cyclists have quadrupled during that time, and we've done it because this is a well-run program. The city is enforcing the laws to the best that we can. We have lanes that try to separate traffic, and pedestrians are also one of the great beneficiaries because the number of traffic deaths of cars hitting people has gone way down. Bike lanes and protected bath pikes are making our streets safer for everyone, pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. The Citi Bike program will have all the essential safety features cyclists and drivers needs, and that means a sturdy frame, a bell, front lights and tail lights. It also means education, from a guide to the rules of the road printed on Citi Bike handlebars to helmet giveaways and discounts. Now, everyone who signs up for Citi Bike annual membership will receive a $10 coupon towards the purchase of a helmet. New Yorkers can also call 311 to get information about free helmet fittings held by our Department of Transportation. DOT has distributed more than 80,000 free helmets to bike riders in the past 5 years, and we're on pace to distribute 100,000 helmets by the end of this year. And it's very important for everyone who uses Citi Bike to follow the rules of the road and to be cautious, especially if you're not accustomed to riding a bike in the city. Using Citi Bike is a great new ways to get around town, but just as when you're walking or driving, it's important to be aware of your surroundings and to be careful, especially because it will take some time for drivers and walkers to get accustomed to seeing thousands more bikes on the streets. Now, one of our most important jobs is providing safe, affordable transit options for New Yorkers, and in so many ways, Citi Bike program is a big win for New York. It's going to give New Yorkers another way to get where they need to go by extending connectivity from subway and bus stops. It's also going to be great for millions of visitors, providing them with another way to see the city, including making our incredible waterfront more accessible. Citi Bike will also help to sharpen New Yorkers' competitive edge, especially versus other global cities like Washington, D.C., Paris, and London that have successfully launched bike share programs. And most exciting of all, today's milestone is just the beginning. When it's fully built out, the Citi Bike system will feature 10,000 bikes at 600 stations, including on the Upper East and West Sides, Long Island City and Sunnyside, Queens, and the Park Slope and College Hill, Greenpoint, and Crown Heights sections of Brooklyn. And with that, let me welcome the driving force behind our Citi Bike program, Transportation Commissioner Janette Sadik-Khan. Janette.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Great. Well, thank you, Mayor Bloomberg, and welcome to Citi Bike. You know, it's a rare thing to see a brand new transportation system become unveiled right before our eyes. And, you know, we have the A train, and we have yellow cabs, and we have the Staten Island Ferry. And today, Citi Bike joins the ranks of the transportation icon family in New York City. And it's been over 75 years since our streets have seen a new public transit system, and people are enthusiastic. Over 15,000 people have already signed up for annual Citi Bike memberships, and over 10,000 have downloaded the Citi Bike app, which shows bike stations and real-time bike and dock availability. And starting today, New Yorkers will have a brand new key to the city. And it's small enough to fit into your pocket, but it's big enough to unlock the city. And with this key, you can grab a bike and take it where you need to go. It's transportation that's tailored for New York. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. New Yorkers are already cycling in record numbers, and Citi Bike will make it even easier to get around town. And while we talk a lot about transportation being about getting from point A to point B, there's more than just getting there about transportation. Transportation investments are key to the city's economy, and Citi Bike will bring 170 jobs to New York and is expected to generate $36 million a year in local economic activity. And with over 350 miles of bike lanes built in the last 5 years, no city has launched a bike share system with as extensive an infrastructure as we have in New York City. And the steady increase in bike riding comes at the same time as we've had record years in traffic safety. So we're in a great position to welcome this new transportation option. Many people worked extraordinarily hard to get us here today. And in particular, I want to thank John Orcutt, Kate Fillinger, Cordell Schachter, Phil Damashek, and the rest of the DOT team and our sister agencies. They've done extraordinary work. Woo! Also, a big thanks to our partners, Michael Corbett at Citi, Ajay Banga at MasterCard, Justin Ginsburg at New York City Bike Share, Margaret Anadou from Goldman. And of course, none of this would be possible without the commitment and the leadership of Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Whether it's faster bus service, more public space, the safest streets in history, or the launch of the largest bike share system in North America, Mayor Bloomberg has brought New York City streets into the 21st century and prepared them for the century to come. Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg.
Janette, thank you, and thank you for everything you've done. Sometimes it isn't easy. There's probably one or two people that have criticized you over the last few years. But I, for one, will tell you your legacy in this city will go on for an awful long time, and it'll be all positive. It is now my pleasure to introduce another person who helped make today possible, one of Citigroup's managing directors for New York, Michelle Imbasayani. Is that right? Correct.
Imbasayani is great.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here today with you, Commissioner Sadik-Khan, and so many others to celebrate the launch of Citi Bike. Citi was founded in New York more than 200 years ago, and throughout our history, we have continually sought to help enable its progress. From financing New York City's first gas and light utility in 1833 to helping fund the reconstruction of the World Trade Center site today. Our sponsorship of Citi Bike is the latest example. We are proud to play a role in such an innovative and substantial program that is both good for New York City and represents a unique way for us to reach consumers and help simplify their lives. We think Citibank will become an indelible part of New York City's urban landscape. And as its title sponsor, Citi is once again illustrating our commitment to be part of the fabric of the progress of New York City. Citi Bike certainly is not the first bike share program. Bike share programs exist all over the world. But let's be honest, there's something special about the New York version of anything, and this is no exception. And to make it even easier and more affordable, Citi customers can get a $15 statement credit when they use their Citi credit card or Citibank debit card to purchase an annual membership. Go to citibikenyc.com for details. Congratulations to you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner Sadik-Khan, on the launch of this exciting new program. Citi is thrilled to be the title sponsor. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank New York City Bike Share, which has worked closely with the city to design and build Citi Bike, and which will be running the system's day-to-day operations. New York City Bike Share's general manager, Justin Ginsburg, is with us here. Justin, wave your hand. Thank you, Justin. And before we take some questions on topic, let me just introduce, describe for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers our announcement. Estamos incendiando por primera vez en Nueva York Citibank un nuevo sistema de bicicletas públicas más grande del país, con más de 6,000 bicicletas disponibles en 300 estaciones. Los neoyorquinos ahora tendrán una nueva red de transportación y nuevas formas de recorrer nuestra ciudad. And with that, first we're going to take bikes. Huh? Q&A first. We'll take some questions on topic. Yes, Miss.
As you just mentioned, it's going to take some time for everybody to kind of get used to this
Sure.
program. Are there any plans, whether it's short-term or long-term, to dedicate more officers to oversee so that everybody's obeying by the laws?
Well, we have plenty of cops on the streets now, when the cops' first responsibility, remember, is to make sure that they look for terrorists and to stop street crime. They also, to the extent they can, try to enforce traffic laws, and they will continue to do that. And everybody's going to be more aware of this. I'm sure there'll be people who will, just like they are today without bike share, take their bicycles and do things with them that are against the law. This will shock you, but there are even people with automobiles that do the same thing. If you take a look at the number of people killed in automobiles, it sort of dwarfs everything else put together on the road. So, I'm sure there'll be some teething pains. There'll be some people that need to get a wake-up call, and we'll try to do it to the best extent we can. Yes, sir.
What steps are you taking the bike share program to ensure not just the safety of the bikes, that they're well maintained, but they're properly handled? And as we learned this morning, one of them was already stolen.
Janette.
The contract that we have with the bike share operator has specified service level standards, so they have a specified number of days to inspect each station, clean them, maintain them, clear snow, whatever. The incident that you talked about this morning was it was a bike that was taken off the truck as it was being loaded. It wasn't taken from a station itself.
And I'm sure that's the first bicycle that's been stolen in this city. So I'm sure we'll go back and look at your coverage, and you've been covering every one of those. Is that correct?
And it was recovered.
And it was recovered, incidentally. And it wasn't ours. It was owned by the private sector. It wasn't government property stolen. So somehow or other, how you can make a bad story out of that, I don't know, but we'll pay attention, and it'll be fascinating to see how clever you are. Yes. Just identify yourself, please.
That their keys, do you have any idea
How many people have keys? 15,000?
I think there were between 150 and 200 people that had issues associated with postal delivery, and so we messengers those keys to people's houses and offered them the option of picking them up at either Sunset Park or in Union Square yesterday, and there'll be a table available at Union Square today, also for people to come up and instantly activate the keys.
And it's...
Pardon?
Postal problem, is a problem with the mail? Is that why?
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a postal problem, maybe they do that with all mail. I don't know. What's the percentage of it? I mean, you can write your story, but you got to put it in the context of how well the system works for other kinds of things, and I just don't know the answer to that. Yes, sir.
Definitely going to have a New York Times. Do you expect that some commuters will choose this as opposed to a subway or bus, and therefore have an impact on MTA operations in some way?
We look at this as a real complement to the MTA's transit system to fill in the gaps, and there are times where it's just faster to get across town in particular. We've got the largest bus fleet in North America and the slowest bus speed, so we think this is going to be a convenient, fast, affordable way to get around town. We'd be a great new option.
Yeah, also you've got to remember that a lot of people own bicycles or rent them to go for long periods of time. This is really more designed to getting from place A to place B. In 30 minutes kind of thing. And so some of the bicycle stores that are worried about their business, I think that in fact, if they think about it, they will sell an awful lot of helmets. That's profitable. And the more people that ride, the more people think about riding, and there's no reason to think their business will go down. I think history shows that it'll go up. Yes, miss in the back.
Okay. Mayor, what do you want to
You want to announce to you who you are to the, we ask the other reporters to do that, you too.
I'm sorry, I'm Lydia Serrano with Fox 5 News. What is your criticism? What is your response to the criticism?
I don't have any criticism. You do the criticism.
Criticism that, hey, is blocking my doorway to my building.
Yes, it is a touch, but remember before that there were automobiles chock-a-block, bumper to bumper blocking the view where you couldn't get through them. This is a lot easier to get through than that. We have a busy city, and you can't walk in any one place directly without somebody and having to go around it. We like that. That's good. Yes, miss.
Sally Goldberg from the New York Post. Is there any kind of roadside assistance plan if you're riding one of these and you get a flat or,
Can you call AAA and get roadside assistance?
Dock and you hit the wrench button and you get a new bike.
You bring it to the nearest dock, you push the wrench button, and you get a new bike.
So even that's been thought of. Yes.
Kristen Salumi from Al Jazeera English. Looking at this from an international perspective, it's the largest in the country. Is it the largest in the world?
I don't know who's the large. It's any
I
large.
think Hangzhou. The largest system is in China.
But compared to London and Paris and.
No, Paris is larger, but we're getting there.
Comparing it to those kind of cities, what were the biggest challenges in getting this off the ground in New York? Is it changing mindset and culture of cars versus?
Well, what New York did was we spent a lot of time building out the bike network. So we had We have got the most extensive cycling infrastructure in place before the launch, so that took some time to get done. But we feel very strongly about the fact that it's a really key solution for world-class cities. That's why you're seeing it in Paris and London and Washington and Boston and Barcelona. So cities are looking for a way around congestion, and they're looking for ways to make it, just a hop on a bike and get around town. So we think it's going to be a great addition. And the other piece that we did is we took the page out of a couple of different systems. So we borrowed the sponsorship model from London, and then we married it to the solar power wireless systems in the United States. So we think we've got really the best of both systems being brought to the streets of New York.
And I point out in other places they've dug up the sidewalks and the streets and put the bike stations down in, and so moving them is really not very practical. The design we chose to use lets us move them overnight if that makes some sense. And we'll take a look, and you have normal adjustments as you go along. But we've tried to use the best from all different parts of the world. And remember, the real place you see this is, the value of this is, number one, the people that use it, but number two, in our economy. Tourism creates an enormous number of jobs. I can't think of anything that's gotten as good press around the world as our bicycle program. It's another reason people will come to New York, another reason to create jobs. And anything you can do to reduce the congestion helps the economy. People can get around a lot better. Yes, Miss. Yes.
Jen Peltz from the AP. Since we've got some folks with signs back here.
I can't hear you.
Since we've got some folks with signs back here.
I'm sure they'll be quoted amply in the paper, probably more than everybody else here today.
Well, I'd love to give you a chance to say what you think about whether or not the racks are taking up space.
Whether or not, I couldn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Whether or not the bike racks take up space that would otherwise go to
Bike racks do take up space, but the parked cars that they replaced took up a lot more space. Everything we do, people on the streets take up space. And that's, I don't know how you describe that as good or bad. It's just the physical fact. We'll take the last question from this young lady back here.
What advice do you have in terms of safety for bike riders who may
I can't hear, we're just saying, what effect?
Safety. What advice do you have for people that may have not been on a
Use the advice for safety is don't ride your bikes on the sidewalk. It's against the law. Use bicycle lanes when they exist, and exercise some common sense. An automobile is much bigger than you are, and you just don't want to drive through an intersection without stopping and making sure it's clear. Then you see that all the time. Some of the bicycle messengers and bicycle delivery guys, they weave through traffic and cut through intersections, and they have a high accident rate. Surprise, surprise. I mean, you just have to exercise some judgment, and people will, I think. We're now going to see whether this works. I'm going to stick in a key and see whether something comes out.